Welcome to the, I was going to say December, but it's not December.
August 16th.
Okay, I'm really shot at August 16th. You had to make me look bad, yeah. Anyway, welcome to the August 16th TST Roundtable. We're here once a month to hear technicians here, the group of us, come up with different things, but more important, we'd like to hear from you guys, your problems, your concerns. What about tools? What about equipment? What about problem cars? What about anything
New tricks and
concerning the business?
Yeah, whatever.
So let me say, I'm G. Trulia, the president of TST.
I'm Pierre Respo, the vice president.
Eric Dibner, associate.
Rich Peterson, secretary.
Basil Stratos, treasurer.
And John Baer, associate.
All right, so we're all here. Now, do we have any comments or questions so far? Okay. Well, we should tell you, we were going to interview Jeff, I forget Jeff's last name, something with a W, from Power Probe, the owner of Power Probe. He has a great new tool out. Jeff's Power Probe does a lot of things I've been looking for years. Amperage, voltage, variable voltage, it does ohms. It looks like a great tool from the ad I've seen. I love my normal Power Probe, the Power Probe 3.
Great tool.
And I've had it from the regular Power Probe, but now Jeff has something new out. Something must have came up. Obviously, he's 3 hours difference out in California than we are here on the East Coast. So at some future date, we will have Jeff back on as one of our people we'll interview. So let's get going with some problems and stories. So who wants to take it away first? Does the John Bearmaster want to go?
Oh, Basil had his, he was warmed up.
Yeah, get me warmed up.
He was getting on the soapbox.
I am going to get on the soapbox. I was started out as a tech, went to as an owner, then back to a tech, back to an owner, then back to a tech. One of my biggest complaints, I am confused. I can't remember what I did anymore.
Conflicted.
One of my biggest complaints, and I realize the economy's not as good as it should be, and there's not as much money out there, but why waste so much time ordering parts, especially muffler clamps, hose clamps, hoses, like I'm talking fuel line, light bulbs, fuses, things that you should have in stock. It's unbelievable to me that I can go to a shop, diagnose a car with them, tell them they need a flasher, and they don't have a signal flasher. I don't get it. I don't understand. As a mobile guy, I carry all of this stuff with me. I do a lot of landscapers, a lot of contractors. I can go into a contractor's shop, work on his equipment, and he's got more inventory than most of the repair shops in my area. The time wasted between the phone calls, the hour to wait to get it, and instead of buying it at a good price, having to pay $5 for 2 light bulbs, just doesn't make sense. But then everybody sits there and complains that there's no money, but you have so many ways to actually save yourself time and aggravation.
You know, Basil, you bring up a good topic. Vin Waterhouse, who's the premier guy of doing management classes, would always say, you need certain stock, the fast moving. You mentioned bulbs, you mentioned clamps. These are things that you need if you're in this business to have in your shop. I had in my shops.
The stuff you need to get it done.
And quick to make money.
Yep.
And it's not like the parts stores, if you buy a whole an assortment of muffler clamps, they give you the rack to put it on. If you buy light bulbs, they give you the rack to keep it in. It's not like it's that hard, and it's not like they're killing you on it. To waste all that time is just, it's annoying.
So I guess it would be a stupid question to ask if they had nuts and bolts in stock.
Oh, nuts and bolts, I didn't bother asking. I bring my own. I literally have a nut and bolt assortment in my pickup.
How big is your truck?
It's an F-350 pickup with 9 boxes in
A
it.
second.
I'm ready to, I'm almost to the point of getting a service truck. Because whenever you're working on something, you always need something else. You always forget something. But to go somewhere and to go to an automotive shop that calls you in for your help, and they have nothing. And the shops,
of course, is part of why they need help.
Yeah.
Right.
And they say, why should they stock it? Because you've got it in stock.
Right. But
Well, you know what you have to start doing? You charge them $2 for every nut.
Oh, I do.
Or
Well,
whatever.
there's a lot of nuts just in this room. That'd be pretty expensive.
The other thing that gets me is like a shop that's unorganized, and yeah, when you're busy, it's hard to keep your place clean. When you're done with the day, it's 2 in the afternoon, there's nothing left to do, and the place is a mess. Like I said, the economy's kind of slow. Like what I said, there's days where you have nothing. 2 o'clock, you're finished. You got nothing. Instead of cleaning up a little, maybe organizing, looking around and just trying to make the place neat and safe to work.
And first of all, it looks way more professional. You wouldn't go into a doctor's office with blood on the floor, blood
Splattered
on the walls.
Exactly.
It's not professional to be messy, in my opinion.
And
My toolbox, I can go in it and find every wrench, every screwdriver. Oh, hold it, Craig goes in it.
Yeah.
Nightmare, I'm sorry.
On the other
But
hand, there's
usually,
people like
he's
me.
not a- Oh, you forget it. I used to go to the shop and go, oh my God, save it, save me ahead of time.
I've seen him work, it's pretty good.
It's
He knows
scary.
where everything is, I'll tell you.
Yeah, he does.
Yeah, I know where everything is.
like I
Anyway,
said,
you're
like,
right,
it's
yes.
just-
I do know my
it's just-
desk, but there you
It's a
go.
peeve. It's just, you have airlines that are broken or hoses. It's $20 to go buy an air hose. Buy the air hose. Don't let it break and take out your stomach like it did to me once. I had an airline burst and hit me in the stomach. I've never been taken down so fast in my life.
Oh, yeah, that's a
Right.
lot of power.
And for a $20 hose.
And God forbid
Right.
that got you in the face.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, right.
So it comes down to time. Time is valuable. Don't
Time
waste
is
your
money,
time.
isn't it?
Don't waste your time waiting for a part to show up your door, because if
Yeah.
it's anything like anybody else, it's 20 to 30,
Hopefully.
easily.
Now, let's bring this up. How is business here on the East Coast? We're all here from, obviously, we're here in New York. Basil and Rich are from Jersey. You're from Connecticut, and Bear here's from New York, as well as Pierre and I. How is business, Rich, in your area? We'll go around the table just to see how this is matching up with people elsewhere.
Well, I'd say it's spotty at best. All right, there are people who are busy, but there are, the majority of shops may have some work in the morning, and by the afternoon they're either not doing anything, and they're playing darts or whatever, and they're not cleaning up.
Do not clean it up.
But in actuality, I'd say the better shops, all right, are actually getting more work. And then, you know, if you, the shops that are finding themselves, they're keeping, as you said, that are messy, they don't show themselves well, all right, then they're getting, I think that a lot of the people are just passing them by.
Going elsewhere, okay.
I mean, I'm pretty good in Connecticut. I'm literally in farm country. Right across
That
the
you
farm.
are. I can see
But I'll tell
cows.
you what, it's all about training. You know, since I started my training throughout the years, the more you learn, the better you get, and people see it. People see how the quality of repairs. They see what you have for tooling. If you keep a clean shop, you have inventory, and you make your place run as efficiently as they can. And every day is gonna be perfect. But when they see the R&D work as well, people come to you, and the word goes fast. So, you know, Connecticut, again, I'm in farm country, and it's done wonders for my business.
Yeah, you come quite a ways to get here, and I've been out to your shop.
Yeah.
You know, if you didn't stock stuff, to wait to get a part out there is
I
gonna
mean,
take
trouble.
quite some
Like I
time.
said, it's a 40-minute wait, and I can't wait 40 minutes for a car to lift,
Right.
waiting for something like a clamp.
Something insignificant.
Something stupid.
Yeah, like a clamp, a muffle clamp.
I
Something
stock
to that
it all, and you know, the more you stock, the better efficiency you get, and you're you get more cars done per day. It's billable hours.
Yeah.
Period.
And that's the name of the game, right?
Billable hours.
That's it.
Time is
And
money.
If you don't have the part in stock, you're not getting the billable hours. You're just wasting tech's time, and you're gonna spend a lot of money that way. So.
Here?
And I haven't done it in a while, but, you know, I was a specialist. I had one brand, BMW, and I stocked not just nuts and bolts, but actually
Rotors, brake pads.
hard parts. I mean, I stocked, you know, a lot of things that a dealer didn't even necessarily stock. You know, back in the days when we did a lot of exhausts, and that was a long time ago, I stocked not only exhaust, but every hanger, every clamp, every single piece for it. In more modern cars, you know, certainly things like every filter for every model.
Cabin airs. the whole bit.
But multiples, you know, I was buying them by the 10 box as a rule.
So if you get a BMW part, call.
Yeah.
That was the
Used to
case.
be able to.
And there were times when it was kind of appalling to me, but I would stock parts that the dealer didn't have that were common parts. I mean, they were movers and fairly new cars. I just couldn't understand why they would want to wait a day or two for a part that they knew they were gonna move, even if it was only 2 a month or whatever, you never planned when that car was coming in. You couldn't, they were usually emergency things. You know, have it on the shelf, get it done, bing, boom, out the door, bill it.
No doubt. But how about business, where you've been driving around or going to? How does business look?
I'd say spotty is correct. The guy who's in my old building was also a BMW guy, so he has the advantage of his clientele that he brought with him.
And yours.
And leftovers from, you know, whatever my clientele. And he's got work, but he's not slamming.
It's not like it used to be.
It's not like it used to be. You know, and he's got the unique situation of effectively having 2 clienteles.
Yeah.
Well,
Which not many people have.
In the same location. I mean, the people didn't have to go someplace new.
Yeah.
In my old shop, he went into my old building. So I'd say it's definitely off.
Yeah.
I
And
want
I-
to
okay.
say something, like, a lot of my old customers, guys that paid their bills, never missed. I'm actually, not that I'm having trouble collecting from them, but they make the agreement where we're like, listen, here's the money for the parts, and your labor gets paid on Friday.
There's a delay.
Because there's a delay, and these are guys that never had a delay. And it's
Yeah.
all over, it's
Yeah.
hard.
It's pretty tough. Now, obviously, I haven't run a shop in 13, 14 years, but being in the training business, I see a lot of guys, you know, and go to different shops and been all over the place. I would say it seems to be everywhere that I travel in the country seems to be off. I would agree with Rich that the better shops, why are they getting a little busier? They have a better clientele because over the years they kept a clean shop. They had the right parts. They advertised, you know, you even have to advertise when you're dead.
Yeah.
Now, this is one thing, Craig's not here tonight, but, you know, Craig does that. He spends a good deal of money, thousands upon thousands. Some people wish they made what he spends in advertising, but you have to do that to get people to come in and go after the right clientele. You know, it takes years to build it up. You need at least 5 years in business.
Yeah.
And even then, I know guys that are in business so many years, and I go, hey, it's spotty, I had to cut back. Look at some of the people, you know, we know in Jersey and stuff. They've had to cut back because there's not the same amount of people coming in. Cars are made better, or vehicles,
Absolutely.
made better. Less maintenance, oil change, you really don't have to. Great article by Buckley, I forgot his first name. I suck at names.
Jerry's having a little problem with names tonight.
I can't think of his name, but he works for Fram. Jay Buckley. Great article, just read. You know, people changing their oil. If you use the right oil and the right filter, you should be doing your oil at 5,000 to 7,000 miles. You know, some of them with the oil life, how the hell do you tell a customer when the thing comes on at 10, you should change it sooner? The viscosity, I know down in New York City, the MTA and the police department have this $50,000+ machine that can tell you if the oil is bad, the viscosity and everything. Can tell you if something's breaking down. It's one amazing piece of equipment. So how then do you sell your customer a service? Well, Jay Buckley put it really well. Don't have them come in every 3,000 miles, but have them come in between 5 and 7 to where they're supposed to. Sell them a quality filter. Don't go for the 1995 oil change.
That's it.
Go for the 50-something, $60 or more oil change. Give a synthetic oil. And guess what? You're going to see a car that's going to have more problems now. Why? They need the tires rotated at that time.
Yeah.
Tires still need to be rotated about 7,500 or so, right? They may have something broken. Maybe they need wiper blades.
They're wearing out their brakes.
Right. When someone comes into you every 3,000 miles, some people were selling service that wasn't needed, and that's bad for our industry.
Oh, yeah.
True.
And let's
Very
face
true.
it, I do, you know, my own oil changes. A lot of times, there's nothing you need on the car.
Right.
Okay? If you keep up with your car or your truck or my Jeep, whatever, it's just, all I need to do is preventative stuff. So I think overall, the economy is affecting our industry.
Sure.
And it comes better from someone that Bear works in an active shop. And we'll let him give his opinion now.
Well, I have to agree with everybody, parts of what everybody said, spotty at best. I don't know about the better shops, Rich. I'd like to think we're a better shop.
That you are. And you guys have a lot of good
and,
equipment.
a lot of equipment, and it's,
And you come for training?
come for training.
Not just you, I mean,
Yeah,
the shop
and
is
the
well
owner,
trained.
and I'm just an employee, but I'm pretty privy to the goings on of the business end of it. And, you know, the training and having the equipment sure hasn't been bringing them in droves.
No,
I mean,
well-
but nobody is.
And you have dealer tools as well, we should say, you know, these
Yeah.
guys have very, very good equipment.
You know, it still seems the old adage, I don't know if I heard it, someone told me before, you don't have to be the best or knowledgeable, you just have to be perceived as the best and knowledgeable. And it still seems people, a lot of the guys with the good lines and the smooth talk, or
And the advertising, like Jerry
and
said.
somewhere that I'm sure factors in too.
I think trust is the biggest key.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean,
Well, trust is
It's
important for
important,
quality customer viewpoint.
But you know what happens? Vin Waterhouse said this well, and it's gonna get to your point. You have customers that are very good customers, loyalty, they're gonna go to someone they trust.
Yeah.
But now they buy a new car. Now, this new car is not the type of car they changed 10 years ago that in 2-3 years it's a piece of junk and you're getting money out of it. Now, this new car, come on, cars get, you know the guy who drives me to the airport? He gets out of his cars 500,000 miles every
Yes.
gas engine.
the
Yeah.
old
Yes.
100,000.
Like nothing.
The old
Absolutely.
100,000 Fier is now 200 for the average person.
For the average person.
What we found easily.
Right.
Yeah.
You know, when you're a used car person, if it's, you know,
100,000 's a baby.
under 100
They
because
just broke in.
they know for themselves, or they know people, they don't know a darn thing about cars, but they know that cars will do that now, and people have gotten good service out of stuff with a 125, 150,
Sure.
175, it gets, it depends on the price, it gets leery, but I mean.
And
like
depends how you maintain it.
Right,
Yeah.
it's all relevant, but something that's been pretty decently maintained,
Oh, yeah.
you know, at $1.50, it's got another 50 in it.
Exactly.
And,
And that,
Oh, yeah.
you know, it's, I don't know where I was
that's,
going, but anyway.
that's a different, no,
I think
that's
I got there.
happening.
Yeah.
That's the difference in our business,
Yeah.
is, you know, and then if you look, you guys are striking distance from New York City or White Plains, anywhere from 45 minutes to maybe an hour and 20 minutes or so, where his shop is located. You have a lot of people now that don't have jobs,
Yeah,
Yeah.
so they're not driving as much.
right.
That's right.
I mean, even gas stations are not doing the money they used
That's
to
me.
do. Yeah, you know,
And,
well, and your wife, there's 2 people off the road.
Right.
And if a gas company needed your profit, oh, no, gas company, right?
No, they have a lot of profit.
They don't
You
need
know,
that, but,
and like Basil said, I mean, a lot of people, and, you know, like, guys, I hope your landscapers tell you, you know, up front, is it all right if I pay for the parts?
Yeah.
Catch
Oh, yeah.
on the-
I hate it
but-
afterwards.
But,
Yeah.
we've been getting more and more of that, where can you know, after it's done, no question about, they knew how much, and okay, go ahead and do it, then when we're writing the check, or, well, can you hold the check till Friday?
yeah,
Well,
or next week.
Or,
They used
yeah,
to hate
or,
that.
yeah, or,
Yeah.
well, wait a minute, you didn't even discuss it.
Right,
I
but
mean,
they
it's
just
what-
assume it's okay.
Yeah, or what are you gonna do?
Right.
I mean, you're gonna keep, you know,
Take the credit card.
keep the car, and you
Well,
aren't getting the money
the
anyway.
plastic's loaded, it's not.
Yeah,
it
the plastic
may
may
not work
It
anymore.
may not work.
I got a note on that. I took a credit card, 2 credit card numbers from one customer as a payment schedule. The guy's claimed his wallet was stolen. So be careful about that one.
Excuse me?
His claimed wallet was stolen, so he canceled his credit cards. You're better off with a paper check by far than you are with that credit card number. 'Cause now they-
Oh, because it's an instrument of
You got
fraud.
it.
Wow.
Right,
Mm.
right.
Okay,
Well,
so be careful, because that happened to me just recently. The guy's coming through, but it's like, really, your wallet just got stolen a couple days before I was supposed to process that number. 2 credit cards,
Well,
not
I
one.
mean,
Yeah.
credit
They were
cards,
both in the same
Possible,
wallet.
but,
credit cards not
Mercedes,
extra stolen.
AMG,
Oh, that guy.
that guy.
He's bullshitting you.
Yeah.
But, you know, we've had it with, speaking of credit cards, a past employer where someone complained to their credit card company about the repair, and the credit card company took the money out of his account.
Immediately.
No
No
questions
questions asked.
asked.
No
You're
questions asked.
wrong because the credit card
That's
holder
right.
was right, and it was
That's it, you're right.
it
that's
was,
right.
you had to prove
That's
Yeah.
you
correct.
were in the
Yeah, you're
right,
right.
not that
That's
they
correct.
were in
And
the
you have
wrong.
to
I mean,
prove
no
it.
questions asked. I mean, it's, you know, no different.
It's out of
than
there
going
until
in the
you-
wallet,
That's why you're
taking it
better
out.
off with that paper check by far
Right.
than you are with that credit card.
Because at least then,
There's
that
one
you have,
complaint.
you have them for knowingly writing a bad check if they write a bad check.
Right.
What's the
yeah, we
And
have
that
we
is
have a
vital.
question.
A complaint I have is poor repairs on wiring or improper installation of repair connectors. Why not always repair it for a lifetime so you are not installing problems rather than fixing?
Wow,
Amen.
that's good.
Amen to that.
I'm gonna tell
He's
you-
the expert on that.
And I'm gonna tell you, when shops ask me and they say, they use these cheap connectors,
Junk.
Shots
cheap
locked.
junk,
Hey,
everything else under the sun, and they say,
The
or
main
even they,
Chinese stuff is
and I
crap.
show them something,
Gracious.
I show them an aircraft grade connector, and they say, how much is that one? Well, just give me the cheapest thing, as long as it works when it goes out the door.
No way.
That's what they say.
Deal with
Well,
family warranty.
no pride in their work.
That's right.
You should use the best
Absolutely.
thing,
Well, that's why
the
they're
best
paying you now to
crimp,
fix
the
the car.
best solder type connector.
So how
heat
much
shrink.
money they just
If you're
waste
so-
on that
if you're
bad
soldering,
connector?
And by the way, just came across another fuse that someone put in. Repair shops buying this stuff at, like a, we won't mention the name, but
Very
a
cheap.
Chinese-made fuse
Mhm.
that's a 10 amp that won't blow if you put 30 or 40 amps through it.
yeah, yes, seen
Oh
them?
yeah, and it just melts it.
Absolutely.
They're garbage, but how can people go out and buy this stuff for their shop?
Yeah,
They should be buying top quality
Because
stuff.
it's
Yeah.
Their
cheap and they're
reputation
trying
is
to.
either that
A
or,
lot of shops, and I hate to say this, there are shops where their reputation just doesn't seem like it means that much.
it's
to
not
them.
important.
at all. It means nothing.
For me to go from a shop owner to a tech, to an owner to a tech, to a mobile guy, my reputation is everything
Yeah,
to me.
period.
It
And
always
once
was
I
mine, too.
lose that, I'm done. But I still have people calling me. I have my own customers that still call me and say, listen, I need this looked at. It's been to 5 shops. Could you look at it? And like you said, it was a bad connector. Or it was just, they rushed through the repair just so they could make the money.
Yeah.
My dad always had a statement, there's never enough time to do it right, but there's always enough time to do it again.
Yeah, to do it twice,
And
is
that's,
the way I've heard it,
and
right?
it's true, and he always told me, do it right.
right,
This way, they come back because either something else broke,
Correct.
or it's a different problem.
Correct.
There's no reason to screw a customer. If you're honest with them, they will come back.
Oh yeah, that's
And
the biggie.
word of mouth is your best friend and your
Oh,
worst
no,
enemy.
right.
Because once you make a mistake,
You're getting.
10 people will complain,
Preaching to
maybe
the
one
choir
person
here.
will say
and-
something good.
but if you
Yeah.
make a mistake and you realize it was a mistake that you made and it was an honest mistake and you come
And
clean with the customer
and you fix it.
and say, listen, I made a mistake, or this is what it was,
Right.
here you go, and you fix it, the customer's gonna respect you more for that than to lie to them and say, oh no, it wasn't us, oh it's this, it's that.
We're only human.
That's it.
And most customers know when you are BSing them like that, and
Oh, yeah.
But many don't. You know,
Many
when you
don't.
get in, you get in a car that needs, has a 420 code or 430, and people just throw a cat in the car. And then a year later, it comes back.
with the same
You know,
code.
and, these guys didn't do their job. They didn't do a full diagnosis.
Right,
And
right.
by the way, last night, that car did come in originally.
It does have a bad
430.
sensor.
It has a bad cat and a bad sensor.
We did, just for you guys on this
I forgot to
roundtable,
tell
we
you.
had this Nissan in here from a used car lot last night for our Snap-on Modus webcast. And it came up with a flat line
O2.
on one of the rear O2s. And it was a flat line, it was not responding in any way, shape, or form. And we made a comment at the time that that was a bad sensor.
Right.
But all the codes had been cleared and half of the monitors hadn't run yet. So obviously, before we got our hands on it, it
They cleared it at
Yeah,
a
they
430,
cleared it.
at a 430, and we thought at one point it was so dead, and not really taking a look at the car.
We thought it might not
Okay,
be
we
installed.
said, well, maybe it's not, doesn't even have it, but
Um,
this Nissan 3-liter does have 2 rear O2s, unlike their 4-cylinder.
And sure enough, it
was
needs
bad.
one.
Yeah.
It was bad. It was kind of interesting.
So, do we have any questions, or we get on with Bear's story, or Bear's?
Yeah, one moment. This gentleman has a Snap-on Diagnostic Vantage Power grafting meter, and his
Vantage
screen,
grab, right?
his screen went purple. He'd like to know where to order a screen for it.
I would
He's
say,
from St.
Just send it back for repair.
I would
Yeah.
contact Snap-on directly, or at first, if you have a dealer, I would strongly suggest you have your dealer send it out, and they usually have certain prices on that.
Yeah.
They'll know like
They
the
have a-
screen.
They have a
is X amount.
set, a
Yeah, you're gonna-
preset price to repair an issue.
Right.
You'll get it back like brand new.
Oh, they'll make it like
It's
new.
reconditioned
Yeah.
next year. Is
Right.
this a Vantage Pro or just an old Vantage?
Yeah, is this a Vantage Pro or an old graphing
I think
Vantage?
it's
Yeah,
Vantage.
the graphing,
The
graphing
older one.
multimeter,
Right, graphing multi.
graphing multimeter.
Because at that point, he might want to update.
The new one looks like a computer screen.
Sorry.
Yeah.
Okay, well, you can let us know as Bear is gonna go on here.
All right, well, this is a little horror warning.
Oh, you got one more? I'm
Yeah.
sorry.
All right.
This gentleman totally agrees with stocking parts, but there are so many aftermarket suppliers that deliver for free. Many shops have the customer's car for the day, so what motivates them to pay for
Oh.
Lift
parts
time.
they may not sell?
Because you get a gigantic quantity discount if you shop it right, buy the quality stuff
Well,
ahead of time,
you
buy
know,
the box.
Well, here's the other thing I would say. Only stock, years back, I saw brake pads, calipers,
Yeah.
all hot stuff.
Right.
Nowadays,
No.
my son don't stock any of that. No,
No.
even belts is not
Only
worth it because there's
right.
too many.
No, it is.
Only common
Never have the ones
common
you need.
You
things.
never have the one you need. So he's done away with stocking
Unless-
belts, but bulbs,
Yeah.
you need
Oh,
it.
yeah.
Well, I used to stock so many plugs, it was scary.
Right.
Can't do that now.
Right.
Yeah.
The only way you're gonna do
And
that
yes,
is
you
if
do
you
need
do
a million
fleet.
bulbs.
Yeah.
Fleet, or like I did, where I was
Well,
specialized in
you
one
do the
brand.
best you
One
can.
brand
That's it.
or a fleet.
Again, you have to do a business decision. If you're gonna move it and you're gonna make money on it, do it. If it speeds you up, you do it because you're gonna make money on it.
But he also brings up a good point. If you're in an area and there's plenty of areas
and
where
they're,
the
and
parts
they're, and
store
they're,
is
5
right
min-
there,
they're 5 minutes away.
like CarQuest is right here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And let them stock it.
But Craig still stocks stuff.
Right.
Sure.
It depends. It all depends on your situation on hand. If you're in 20 minutes distance, you got to give it and take what you're going to order or stop.
Right.
If you're 5 minutes away, and you almost gonna look at your store, then don't stop.
I tell you, when I was in
let
Napa,
them hold the inventory.
when I was in Napa Auto Care, and when they closed the one in town, and I had to wait for the closest one, which was Danbury,
Oh, that's too
I
far.
stocked a whole bunch of stuff. Because you only got 3 runs during the day.
Right.
And
Yeah.
I couldn't tie the lifts up.
Sure.
I had to get
That's it.
cars out.
It
Yeah.
depends- How many lifts do you have? If you've got 8 lifts and you can
You have the
afford
time.
it, you're right. If you got 1 or 2,
Yeah. Okay, Bear, let's get on and do yours.
All right, back to my warning story, horror story, and kind of goes back to, wouldn't have made that much difference, but knowing how something works. It was 2002 Gulf TDI, came in for an inspection. Previous year, in New York State rules, it didn't matter that the TDI, that diesel had the check engine light on. As of July, they changed the rule, and now it gets an OBD2 check and will fail New York State inspection if the light's on. So we proceeded to start diagnosing, and the person, after explaining to them that, yes, they passed with the light on last year, and they didn't really care that the light was on, but New York State now cared that the light was on their diesel. So we were running through the list of the codes, one of which was, I don't know the particular number, but it pretty much on that car, and the most important one. The car was always very, very doggy for a TDI, which are usually pretty peppy. This one was flat because we had been doing oil changes to it, and on and off, and it couldn't get out of its own way. Well, one of the codes came back to the most, long story short, could have been the airflow meter or something in the turbo. So after talking to one of the help lines, and they suggested, well, I like to start with the turbo first because it's mechanical and you can rule that out pretty quick. So with doing some quick looking, found that, long and short, again, that the wastegate actuator was frozen.
Open.
Frozen, open,
Yeah,
the
it was
wastegate
open.
is normally open on that car.
Normal.
And the wastegate actuator was frozen, so
So we
the
closed
wastegate would never close, and therefore, which explained a lot about the lack of power and that. So to confirm that that all it was going to be was the wastegate actuator for Techline's thing, they said, well, manually close the wastegate and see if the cars, it should be significantly peppier. Okay, we went through the parking lot, seemed a little bit peppier, but just make sure the turbo spools up, and don't want to tell them it needs an actuator and get that on and find out there's something
Yeah,
wrong.
they need a
So
turbo.
it needs a turbo too, and pulled out onto the highway and got up to first, second, third gear, and all of a sudden this sucker took off. Uncontrollable throttle. wide open. Turned the key off, no difference.
Runaway diesel.
Runaway diesel, took the, which I found out that's it's fairly common, but it wasn't at that time. In panic mode, well, the key was off and didn't stop. Pulling the key right out, we had to do something other than, all that did was lock the steering column. And
made the ride a bit
so now it
scarier.
don't steer or stop. But fortunately, all of this, it all ended in probably 15 to 20 seconds when the motor expired. After then it wouldn't stop. Then it wouldn't stop because there was no vacuum assist for the brakes.
Right.
So after it finally came to a stop, and
That's no hair.
after it finally came to a stop, unfortunately the road wasn't busy and we didn't die. Tried to restart it, and with 3 or 4 cranks knew that was a futile effort. Brought the car back
Here's your keys.
and
Bye.
ruined lunch because it was just before lunch, and found out all about runaway diesels. Well, apparently, whether it was because it was never spooling up the turbo, the turbo shaft didn't feel all that bad upon disassembly, but what it had done was the induction system intercooler was full of engine oil,
And gave it a lot of fuel.
and it didn't matter that, and the only thing, that diesel runs on max air. There's no control of the air.
And engine oil is just as good a diesel fuel as diesel fuel
Well,
is
no,
in that
no,
situation.
it's got to have lower cetane because it detonated a piston out of it.
Yeah.
So,
Well, as far as your situation, it was good enough to get it going.
oh, for a brief while. And
Yeah,
and,
that was an old
the red
cat,
line,
Cummins,
the red line
they
on,
keep going.
the red line
Yeah,
on
until there's
that
no
was
oil in it.
only $5,000. It's very low, but it was probably, I don't know what it was turning in that brief period of time, but
Wow.
On that note,
very high. So one good thing was for that was the importance of having shop liability, which, not being a shop owner, but for the boss, I mean, it was
blessing.
it
Yeah, that
well,
paid
a
for it.
blessing.
That way the customer's not ticked off.
Right,
Yeah.
and it actually worked well thanks to for once the internet did something good, because there's plenty of information on this condition occurring. The woman was quite relieved when she realized that could have happened to her,
Yeah, yeah.
and it happened to me. And
Did you get hazard pay?
I got new underwear. And so just something to be aware of. I don't know how you would check to see that this could happen to you.
You can't, that's a problem. You can't really predict it.
Predict it. I'm sure having the wastegate closed and didn't, forcing more air through, picked up more oil, probably didn't help matters. But I mean, the tech line said that was okay to briefly operate it that
Well,
way.
I think what you couldn't tell. My guess is that you had a problem with that shaft seal, and when you spooled that up,
It
it just sucked it
Right
in.
into the pan, in addition to
Yeah. It just sucked it in.
I have a note on doing oil changes, by the way, in any turbo, as far as Volkswagen goes, drain the cooler.
Yeah, that is a way you could actually test it.
Drain
On the
the damn
Volkswagens,
cooler.
you look at the, this is a general thing, but the ones that have the cooler pipe coming down across by the front, it's very easy to pull that off
Oh, yeah.
and see if it's full of oil.
Well,
Yeah.
in,
But
they are.
obviously,
right.
and they can be very full of oil.
Yeah.
Oh, in hindsight, in putting the used motor in, which the insurance company paid for, the customer paid for a new turbo, which they
Which probably caused the whole mess.
made them to explain that was the cause. It could have,
How was intake?
could have happened.
How was the intake carved up? Was it
Not too bad,
Wasn't too
but the
bad?
EGR cooler was horrendous.
Yeah. So some of your cleaned the intake, we didn't do the EGR cooler.
Right. Well, I mean, I haven't seen enough of them. It wasn't, to me, it wasn't that bad for a diesel. You could still see the valves,
Yeah.
and it wasn't a real high mile one. It was only 113,000
Oh, that's
on
a
the
baby.
car.
That is young for
And,
that. Very young.
But that's
So-
carbon up at 60.
Yeah.
But
Mhm.
as far as the cooler being full, when we were putting the used motor in, I had pushed a rag into the intercooler over the weekend and let it hang out of the cooler, and there was a tremendous pile of oil on the
I
floor.
usually
Come Monday.
I usually get about a half a quart every time.
Right. So and on the same on a normal working one without a problem.
You won't even see a leak.
Right. But
I see a good story for the
Now
newsletter.
they,
yeah. But
yeah, there you go. They've had some issues with assembly issues with the newer, not really brand new, but fairly new, few-year-old
Newer than 02.
gasoline engines, where somebody at the factory decided to line up all the gaps in the rings. It looked pretty.
Oh my God.
That don't work too
Wow,
slow.
that goes back to the old days.
And
Oh my God.
and the yes,
That's on a Friday, right?
I don't know. I'm not going to make any judgments really, other than
Assembled it to happen.
other
It
than we,
exists.
when I was and just for you on the web, I worked at a Volkswagen dealer for a short while, year and change.
A downgrade from BMW.
Oh, big downgrade. Don't worry, I'm not there now. And the fact was that we saw a few of these, and I thought it was ridiculous that they wanted us to take it apart to check for the first time, to check for ring alignment. And I said, you got massive friggin' leak down. You got yourself a major problem. But sure enough,
You just assemble it all in.
they gave us not even new pistons, new rings and a light
But
hone.
these don't have an alignment pin in them, right? They actually
No,
rotated it.
yeah, you'd think that they would all rotate. There are no alignment pins, but but they don't appear to rotate enough to create a universal. These were lined up perfectly on all
That's
cylinders.
unbelievable.
Wow.
And we're talking about a quart every 500, 600, 800 miles.
Oh, yeah.
From the get-go.
From the get-go,
Yeah,
from
when
brand
you're lined
new.
up, I picked them up.
And I talked to a number, there were 5 or 6 of these. I talked to no, apparently they burned it pretty good.
Wow.
And
They were crisp.
But I talked to a couple of these people, 2, 3, 4 months later, and after the ring job, no oil consumption. Yeah, perfect.
Beautiful. We got a couple of questions.
A couple of questions.
All right, this gentleman's looking to purchase a R134A charging station for his shop. What brands in the marketplace stand out? How is Robinair's current offerings,
Pretty good,
including their
very good.
hybrid compliant?
Robinair, we have one of the machines here, very good. We've used it in a webcast.
Right.
The other good machine that I would recommend is, of course, you gotta remember the name.
RTI?
No, I don't like no, White's not in business.
They are.
Yeah, they're gone.
Well, there's not too many others out there.
Flow Dynamics. Flow Dynamics makes a lot of the stuff for Mercedes-Benz, a lot of the dealership stuff. Flow Dynamics makes a good machine. We use both of them. We have both here. We've used them in webcast, and they get used every day, by the way.
And abused.
Very, very good. You do want something, Aircept is a very good company, so you can have an oil separator, and also for the hybrids, you do not want to put a PEG oil in. You have to use a POE, a polyester oil. So you'll want to get that. It's an add-on to the machine. It's something that you'll definitely need. Also, you need an identifier, 2 identifiers. One for sealant, because there's so much sealant that is out there nowadays.
And that'll destroy your machine.
It'll destroy it, it'll lock it up.
And there's no warranty.
We had a guy years back
When you do
that
that.
used to rent off me here, and he locked up my Snap-on air conditioning machine. All the solenoids were totally solid because he didn't test them. Okay.
And the
Lucky-
tester was here.
Yeah, the tester was here. That's a scary part. Well, lucky I was
And
able
the other tester
to
you
get it
want
fixed.
is for the actual refrigerant.
Right, and both of those are sold through Neutronics. Neutronics is something very good. In fact, when you go to the 1234 YF, that's going to be the new refrigerant out in some cars already, the new Cadillacs, the ATS that's out, as well as some Mercedes-Benz and Beamers. You will need a built-in identifier that comes in the machine, or the machine does not operate. So in other words, it's built in, and this is a standard. Also, if you're going to buy any type of, and UView makes some good dye and stuff as well for air conditioning stuff. I'm not a big fan of anyone's beep, beep, beep machine. I never have luck with those. Dye, a little thing on dyed air if you're going with an air conditioning machine, is make sure you're using the right black light for the spectrum of that particular dye. It's a mistake
They
everyone
tailor-
makes. They are tailored
Yeah.
I
to
made
the
that
light.
mistake once too.
And the UView light, that little light that we have, that's
Very good.
killer.
Yeah, very
That
good.
is a very good light and very reasonable.
By the way, once you have your identifier, you should be testing every tank of of new refrigerant when you get it.
Yeah,
Before going into the machine.
Yep.
definitely.
Next question.
This gentleman thinks one of the forgotten sales / diagnostic tools is the pH strip. Easy
Oh,
proof
yeah,
of
yeah.
work
pH on
required, but many shops I guess he visited, had unopened packs of them.
Craig uses those pH strips. You can get them through, he gets his through Runaway, but there's many companies that sell them.
Right.
I'm sure if you ask BG, they probably have them. And I've got to, my buddy Tom Metner, who sells a bunch of stuff, sells those pH strips, you know, to big warehouses actually. And they are very important for brake fluid, for antifreeze,
Yep.
for oils. Very, very important. Very good. Good tips, guys.
It's also
Thank
nice
you.
to attach the repair order to the customer.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
That is a great thing.
Yep.
Next one.
After
Cory?
so.
Another thing that a long-term problem is lots of techs and shop owners don't want to take online or in-person classes, but don't mind wearing people out asking for non-stop help that do take
Don't we
the
know
time
that
and
well?
money to take schooling
Absolutely.
and join IATN, etc.
You know something, my opinionated on that, because Jerry and I field a lot of calls.
Yeah. Yeah.
But you know, it's more than that. I think even, I get calls from people who've taken training even,
Yeah.
and they haven't turned on the onboard computer.
Yeah.
And because of that, they just want a quick answer. They want somebody else to think for them. I think, absolutely.
Yeah.
A lot of people don't want to take the training, but also even people who've taken the training don't turn on their brain
Right.
and try to analyze it. And if you don't, it's a muscle, you know? If you don't exercise it,
You know,
it's going to be weak.
Don't use it, you lose it. But I think something is very, very important. Sometimes people take training, and here through TST, we provide seminars for the past 14 years. Some of the seminars, obviously, we target diagnostic type of stuff, correct?
Mm-hmm.
But some people never had the basics.
That's right.
And that is something that seems to be overlooked. There needs to be a standard. When we were part of STS, the SAE Technical Review Board, and a group that winded up, you know, dealing with technicians, I really wanted to make a standard through SAE saying that a technician needed certain courses, certain amount of them,
You've got to have the basics.
and updating every year. Not because I'm in the training business. These cars are unbelievable. They make a computer look like a dummy, right? I mean, look at the onboard stuff that we're dealing with.
I've told this to
It's
customers
amazing.
for quite a while. You know, you go home and you have a computer, right? But your car has, in my case with BMW, with a 7 Series, you know, you could have 100 of them.
Exactly, and the network is unbelievable, the speed they're running at.
That's right.
So, you know, I always used the one back in 1969, July 20th, 1969, we landed on the moon. And, you know...
He didn't land on the moon.
Not me, I wish I did. But, you know, Neil Armstrong, he had to basically take the cyclic, it's like flying a helicopter, like
Yeah,
I'm
that's
just
right.
doing, and actually take over manually, because that computer had less power than a 1980 GM computer system. And people don't realize that. He really would have went to the dark side of the moon.
Yeah.
No Pink Floyd intended.
And not come back. And this cell phone here has way more capacity. This is a dumb phone. Way more capacity than that lunar lander had.
Yeah,
And
go to the Air and Space Museum, a great place to visit.
I saw it. It's,
And,
Yeah.
you know, or the Cape Canaveral or Houston Control down there. Really good stuff to check out. And by the way, that's how we have so many advancements in the automobile, is from aerospace.
In technology, not just the
Yeah.
automobile. In
Now
technology.
that we don't have a good space program, I
Hardly have a
wonder what's
space
going to happen.
Yeah. It's pretty
Anyways,
obvious.
any other questions?
It's just one word, Viper.
Viper, great car. I wish I had.
Talking about air conditioning.
Oh, Viper air conditioning. Yeah, I was hoping we don't.
He was on a different subject.
That's okay. Viper.
I've heard of it, I don't know.
Viper, I don't know if they make them anymore. They used to be a good machine. We had them here in the training center, but no, I haven't seen one out.
I don't know.
I haven't seen them in years, but
I
Viper
know.
was a very good machine. They had a split one we had here, an R12 and 134A. Great machine, never had a problem with it. In fact, it had the built-in identifier from Nutronics. But I'm not sure if they're in business anymore. Any other questions?
No, that's what he meant. Viper AC.
Not the car.
I'm thinking of a car. I was hoping I win lotto so I could get one.
Just to mention on the last person's question there about training, I think the reason why you do a lot of hands-on or training like we are is you can do networking. So the phone calls that they're getting are from people that are, you know, maybe they work on a Nissan all the time. Maybe they work on a Mercedes all the time. They don't know quite a bit about BMW. That's why you come to these trainings, so you get to know people that are
You not only learn them subject matter,
Yeah.
yeah, but you also learn the people
He
who
was on a
know.
roll.
Sorry.
Killing his roll.
Sorry.
I'm good now.
No, but training is very important. I just don't think in our industry, and I think ASE is great, but unfortunately, that's only taking a test. It's not proven anything.
Absolutely.
We know through our hands-on testing that over 50% of the ASE tech guys, you know, used an ohm meter on a live circuit, let's say used AC voltage rather than DC. There were many mistakes.
Right.
Basic stuff.
Absolute basic.
And how many people, Rich, you see this all the time, have blown fuses,
I was just gonna say that.
and just recently,
In their meters.
I brought my meters to a class, and you know I never let anyone use it on
I
a
know
meter,
that.
but it was quicker than I say boom. They blew the damn
Yeah.
fuses on my meter.
Absolutely.
I was so ticked off because I even make them make a jumper
And
with
in
the
line with a
fuse.
smaller fuse.
Before they hooked it up,
That was it.
Right?
I'm like, you gotta bring your own meters. I'm not in the fuse
I
business.
had someone call me this morning, and he said to me, he said, that piece of equipment that I use with my multimeter that you sold me 2 years ago, he says, I'm having problems with it. I said, these things never give problems. And I told him, I says, I always find that if the problem exists usually because the guys blew the fuse in their meter, the amperage fuse, the 10 amp fuse,
10 amp fuse.
in the meter. All right, and he said, no, I have several meters. He says, and I used every single
And they blew
one.
every fuse.
And I said, really? He called me back a half an hour later. He said, don't bother coming up. He says, all my meters had blown fuses.
That's
Scary. It's normal in our industry.
Somebody's plugging it into the amp socket and doing a voltage test
That's
with it.
exactly
And
right.
let's say this, being an automotive mechanic or technician, whatever you want to call us, it is one tough job. And especially the way technology keeps
Oh,
going,
it
we don't
keeps
get a
changing.
break like a plumber or a carpenter
Yeah, it
or
keeps
electrician. It keeps moving.
I'll tell you
It's a
what.
moving target.
That's right.
I'll tell you what. Computer skills are a must today.
Yeah.
A must.
In fact, speaking of computer skills, we have a webcast coming up next Thursday night on computers, and my Motor Age article will be out showing you how to test the biggest and most expensive fuse in a car is a computer. And people don't know what to do when it burns out. It's like buying a fuse. They plug another one in
See if it blows
rather than
too.
diagnosing it.
Right.
So come join us, and by the way, I'm looking, I gotta ask you guys or someone in our local area, does anyone have a 1996 or a little older, I know I haven't seen one in a long time, GM vehicle, because I want to use the GM factory tool in that webcast to show you what I'm going to show you you can do with a power probe or your meter.
I might.
You may have one? If you could, that'd be great.
Yeah.
Eric has to look at his yard, he has a lot of cars.
You can get one, that'd be great. Because I want to demonstrate that. I wrote about that in the article, and Pete Meyer and myself will be doing that. I guess Pierre will be here, and if you bring it
Yeah, I'll
up,
be
he'll be
here.
here.
Now, Rich, you had an interesting thing that you don't know the answer to yet,
Oh,
right,
yeah,
today?
absolutely.
Let's talk about that. Let's see what's that story.
All right, we'll tell you about that.
More questions?
Oh, if you have another question, go ahead.
Yes,
We'll
this
take that first.
gentleman has enjoyed your scan tool shootouts in the past.
Right.
Have you tested the Bosch VCI or VC1 scan tool? Can you elaborate on the unit, vehicle coverage, ease of updating, etc.? How many shops in the Northeast use it over other scan
Okay.
tools?
That set it off.
Well, that's a big one. The Bosch VCI we do have here. We have not put that in the scan tool shootout. I have used that in some webcasts. We were waiting for an update. Now, I don't have the latest update. In fact, I have to get in touch with Bosch on that. Not many shops that I know of actually have that Bosch VCI, or what's the other one, a KTS? We have a KTS, I think, 350.
Something, yeah, right, yeah.
I don't remember the number of it.
The VCI replaced the Master Tech. It's just an interface.
It's just an
It'll
interface.
interface off a laptop, and I don't have one or know anyone that has it, but in doing some reading, sounds like it's an average or a better than average aftermarket tool.
It has, when it has the software for the MasterTech, because the MasterTech used to be the Toyota, it had some
Honda.
GM and Honda factory tools, so two factories and very close to GM being
Yes, it was
factory.
very good from what.
And now, by the way, that unit, they haven't done it yet. It's like my MDI. The GM MDI is really the Bosch VCI, but there's a chip taken out of it. The GM one could only do GM, where Bosch could do both, but I think there's some sort of a licensing thing with GM. Right now, you can't use it to do full factory GM.
You can't use
So,
it as an MDI.
you can't use it, right.
Right, even
Right.
with the subscription.
Exactly, even with the subscription, it won't let you through. So I think it's, like Bear said, I think it's an overall good tool. You know, we are behind on scan tool shootouts, we do apologize. I think the next car we were doing was gonna be a BMW.
Yeah,
We did an old one years back, but we wanted to do an update on a later model BMW. And we were gonna have the BMW factory tool, the Autoland, Scientech, Autologic, of course, which is unbelievable tool. Launch, the new GDI, is it called?
GDS.
GDS, great tool, we have one here, really nice. Common, that's not around anymore, so we'll throw it in. We'll see if Snap-on gives us some new software, so we
I
can
have
put
those.
them in there. That's up to them to
Okay.
send in. OTC, we'll put that on there. And by the way, we don't get paid by these companies when we do a scan tool shootout. We never read directions in any of them. We put the tool on, as we said last night, the tool should be
Intuitive.
intuitive enough to use.
Because you guys out in your shops, do you take out the manual and read it, or do you plug it in and see how it works?
Gotta be user-friendly.
Yeah.
That's right,
Plug
absolutely.
and play.
And you
Yep.
know, another one we have to get an update from is, which does a pretty good job overall. Rich, the tool you have, the laptop one that I have as well, can't think of the name.
Auto
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 ingenuity.
ingenuity.
Auto ingenuity.
So a lot of guys that like laptop-based tools, you know, that can do some OE stuff. And Jay Horak does a very good job on a lot of these car lines. He really does.
I haven't heard much about that.
I thought I was
Yeah,
having a problem.
I think
found-
there's a new update.
I found it was my cable.
Oh, your
Again?
cable's bad.
It was just, it wasn't the, no, I'm not talking about not the adapter.
auto
It was the
ingenuity.
wire itself, the
USB?
USB, mini USB to regular USB. It was the wire itself.
Wow.
They're not very rugged.
They're not rugged at all.
I found those, any of that USB
No, those are easy to break.
on the laptop end.
Well, same
of it.
on the inspection machines.
Yeah.
They break left and
Yeah, on the
right.
laptop end of it, they're
So what I'm
not
gonna
made for our environment.
What I'm gonna do, or what I'm finding I'm gonna do, is I'm gonna use it through Bernie's breakout box. Therefore, that takes it's rugged.
That's rugged.
That's rugged.
The bob
that'll
is
take,
good.
Yeah, you know, so.
Doreen, any other questions?
Yeah.
I think it's a comment. This gentleman really liked the Wells Vehicle Electronics Tech Guy that was on the last roundtable.
Right,
Oh, Mark Hicks.
Yeah.
yeah.
When the company's tech guys are at the show, it's nice to hear about new or improved products that you may not know about any other way unless you see it, an ad for it online or announcements.
By the way, here's
Just
the
a
thing to
thought.
do with Wells. Go to their website and also look at Wells Ignition, or whatever they call themselves, but type in Wells.
Automotive
on-
electronics or something like
yeah,
that,
I think
right?
it's electronics.
Right.
Go to YouTube and type in Wells. They got great videos. Go to their websites, Wells Electronics, and there is some great information. Mark Hicks and his crew do a great job. If you're ever out there in Wisconsin, found the lot, stop by and check that place out. It is outrageous. Really good.
Which
You
means
also
bottom of the lake, by the way,
So-
Fond du Lac.
So by the, your French stuff, who knows? But my French lessons are gone. The other thing, we're gonna, in the future, do a roundtable with the guys from Prestone, not far, in Danbury, Connecticut. We'd like to get the guys on from a lot of different companies. We'll probably have Bernie Thompson on sometime in the future. And a few other people. When you guys give us suggestions that's great. And if there's no other questions, we'll go on to Rich.
We're all set there?
Yeah.
All right, little problem, just came across this, 2010 Chevy Express van, all right, gas engine, not diesel, 2500 series, has a charging problem. It had just started at one point from a shop, called me up and he said, it'll charge when you start it for about 30 seconds and then slowly shut down. If you turn on an accessory, it'll charge for a few seconds and then shut down. This is at an idle, if you bring the idle up above 1500 RPM, it will start charging. All right. Now, at an idle or anything below 1500 RPM, the voltage will drop to the point, if it sits, that the battery will just go dead and it'll shut off. So, different things have been changed. They've changed everything and reprogrammed all the computers. The things that I checked on it today, as a matter of fact, I checked the two leads. Now this has two wires that go to the BCM. There's another model that has one wire going to the BCM and one wire going to the one wire going to the BCM and one wire going to the ECM. This has two wires going to the ECM or PCM. I read what these wires are supposed to have on it. One wire has a 5-volt, 120 hertz frequency that has has pulse width modulation. All right, and it's that is a feed from the PCM to the alternator. Now the return is also a 5-volt pulse width modulated 120 hertz signal going back to the PCM to tell the load on the alternator and what the field is feeding from the voltage regulator. Now I checked those both with a lab scope. I'm getting a nice square wave, everything proper at 5 volts with proper regulation from the PCM to the alternator. But the return to the from the alternator to the PCM has got a lot of it's not I don't think it's noise. It's just not and by the way, it's not 5 volts. It's close to 10 volts. And there's nothing on the wire coming back the other way out of that PCM. If it's not charging at all, there's nothing coming out. When I say it's not charging, excuse me, with the key on and nothing running, there is no signal coming out of that wire. And they've taken and swapped alternators and computers from the one vehicle to another vehicle, and the vehicle that's bad stays bad, and the vehicle that's good stays good.
Have they changed PCM, actually?
Yes, they have. They've reprogrammed it. They've changed it. They've reprogrammed it.
Almost sounds like something with a ground.
Yeah.
I thought maybe a short to power type of thing or some type of something else on that wire, touching that wire, pumping it up.
Well, did you get a good vehicle to see what happened with that 10 volts?
That's the next thing we're going to do.
Because that's the best. It's playing
So
the
the
comparison
question
game.
for you guys on the web here is, have any of you ever had that happen? Have you seen it?
If you have,
And
let us know.
they do have an article from GM that says that the whole problem on this thing is improper programming of the BCM. I'm not sorry, the PCM. All right,
But
and
this has the latest program file on it.
it's supposed to. They've had the
You know,
latest
one thing you
program.
want to check is the calibration. Craig just had a car in here. It happened to be a Honda, a hybrid problem. And I told them what to do. They had the customer got a new battery, make a long story short. And on the bill, they said they had the latest program in it.
Right.
So I said, check that. The only other thing, if that battery is good, and I had them do this manual test,
Right.
the battery, high voltage battery was good. The dealership never frickin' put the new program file in.
You said
And it
Even though
does,
they
and
said
they
they
said
did.
it was right on the invoice. So he sent the customer back, they said, hey, we gave him the printout off our Honda scan tool. Here's the factory tool, same crap they have. You don't have the right program file in here.
Need a big rag to take that egg off their face.
So always be careful. I don't trust sometimes that they make sure to write files in it.
Have
I
you
tell them
tested-
check that.
But you've, the parts you're discussing with the files and all, you took the questionable one, put it in another vehicle, and it doesn't have the problem, so that seems to tell me that it wouldn't be.
Yeah, but did they swap computer and alternator? Did they
Right.
do
Well,
both?
I-
I'm
sounded
not
like-
sure what the shop, I'm sure the shop replaced, switched alternators. I'm not 100% sure whether they swapped computers. All right?
And you don't know what the source is for their
And then you'd have to
programming
program both of them.
Right.
Right, I don't know.
And is there a program that's repairing?
It's a fleet vehicle,
It's a
right?
fleet vehicle, that's correct.
Is there something else that they have added into the system that could be causing an AC?
This.
Well, and I've had that. Mike's school
Yeah,
buses got shifted,
Right.
oil trucks.
This is,
I've been
Maybe.
there.
this is, every
Oh, we
vehicle,
have a comment.
every vehicle
This
is the same.
gentleman wants to know if there's any aftermarket accessories
that's
on the
what we were
van,
just
like
discussing,
remote
There's-
start, alarm,
No,
etc.
there's nothing at all.
Just a regular, because that is something
Yeah.
that ate my lunch
Right.
years back.
Yeah, oh yeah, I've checked that, I
Very
checked
good.
that myself. Very
We like
good,
when
yes.
you guys are listening.
Yeah, absolutely,
And
absolutely.
thinking.
And thinking. Thank
Absolutely.
you very much, by the way.
Yeah, that's good.
Great comments
Good
tonight.
thinking, yep, you've gotta put your mind there.
Now, did you check it at the PCM itself to see if you're actually getting a signal to the PCM? You're not losing it in between?
I only checked the signal coming out of the alternator, right at the alternator.
But you didn't check that wire to make sure the
Oh,
wire's
no, the
good?
wire we checked,
Oh, you-
current, right from the
Okay.
PCM
Now,
to
you
the.
said you have something like 10 volts. Does it look like a square wave, like it's a real digital signal?
It's a digital signal, but it's real fast, and when it starts to charge, it starts to get sort of a square wave, but it's still up high.
Yeah, you gotta
It's
check
still
it
up
out.
at 9 volts.
You know,
Yeah, but
I
you don't know
start,
what it's supposed to look like.
But I don't know, again, I don't know what the
It's
normal
what's-
one
what's
And
is.
it could be normal, let's face it.
It could
but
be,
not,
All
but if
companies
it's
have
supposed,
done-
but if it's
That's
supposed to be
right.
5 volts.
yeah, they say
But
it's
companies
supposed
have done 5 volts, 7 volts, 9 volts.
That's right.
They've all
System
done
voltage, oh,
8
yeah,
volts,
everything,
you know,
right,
they've
right.
done
Check it out,
crazy
Google.
stuff.
That's right, the book may be wrong.
Yeah, you have to test the known
And
good
you're
vehicle.
fortunate that you have access to a
I
known
do have
good one.
access, but
Yeah.
I haven't,
Got the plug out there
Okay,
yet.
you know,
Yeah.
that's one thing I love about fleets.
Question.
Yes.
You go like this, they're both
That's
exact.
right, that's right.
You really can check a good to a no bad. Doreen has a comment.
The
Yeah.
connections on the amp sensor to the PCM
No
are all
amp
very
sensor.
good.
No amp sensor on this vehicle.
One more
Oh, no
question.
amp, because a lot of them do have those.
That's
amp
right.
sensors.
There's two, at first, the only diagram showed an amp sensor. All right, at first, the only diagram did show an amp sensor. All right?
Yes, that
But-
is one.
and these vehicles didn't have one unless we said, well, gee, maybe it has some. But then we found a second diagram from GM that said, depending on the VIN, the engine VIN,
No-
whether it was
no
an A, whether it was an A, or whether, I forget what the other one was, all right? And what it said was that this one would have an amp sensor, this one would not, but it was not exclusive. So it could or it couldn't,
Could not.
or it could or it couldn't. So,
How many
That sounds
miles
like
on the van?
Excuse
Is it
me?
original battery? How many miles?
Yeah,
on the
I said
van?
the same thing with the battery. but-
40,000, it's a 2010 with 40,000 miles on it.
And
And the battery was
OE
replaced.
battery,
And the battery has been, tried to have, was replaced also.
and it did it with the old battery? and
Old
new
battery, new battery, they've tried everything.
Because that takes it out of the picture. Batteries will be a
Now,
major name.
all right, I will give you one thing that he did tell me.
Made in China
All right.
battery.
No.
Cheap Delco.
No. One thing he did was, there was a problem originally before he realized this problem existed, all right? They had put they had a voltage drop in the system to the alternator output, all right? They did add something aftermarket to the back, and they added it to the alternator wire. However, he took it out of the vehicle entirely and ran the alternator wire exactly right back to the battery the way it was
Okay.
supposed to be. So, But it did,
You sure this guy swapped the computer? It's almost sounding like it is something to do with the computer,
Yeah, it does.
right?
I'm telling you.
Like some wire caused some problem here.
And even the factory leads you to a programming problem of the computer. All right, even the factory says that. But yes, he went through and he did it twice.
Yeah, but did he do it with the most updated code?
Supposedly.
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 Lori has
Hammered
another
out.
comment. We have another comment.
Anybody call Remy Tech Line for help? They built the electrics with the GM, along with the GM.
Remy Tech Line.
That's a great idea.
Do we
Okay.
have a number for that Remy Tech line? Because that's something good to know.
That's possible, yeah.
Also, Delco batteries are now Johnson controlled.
Okay, that's all
Johnson-
right.
People sold off the battery biz
All right.
quite a while ago.
Okay, yeah, Johnson
Johnson
Control.
Control's a very good
A very
battery.
good
They build
battery.
a lot of batteries like
There's only
Interspace.
two battery makers in the country.
That's right.
Yeah, well, yeah, there's a couple more, but you know,
Yeah, Exide
Ex-
and,
yeah.
yeah, there's a few of them.
Yeah, GNB, which is.
Right, GMB,
GNB, right. And, but, yeah, like I
So-
said, it's,
We leave them with a very complex problem here, and we'll try to figure that out.
all right.
And by the way, in a future webcast, we'll bring up what the answer was.
Oh, yeah,
Oh, yes,
yeah,
we
when
will.
we get the
Where
answer,
do we find it?
when we find it.
Now, we do apologize tonight that Jeff, but we will have Jeff from Power Probe on with that new probe on one of our roundtables, hopefully next month's roundtable.
The hook.
Does he have any introduction yet?
That I don't know.
They're advertising.
But that doesn't mean
They're
they're all
available,
produced yet,
right.
yeah. At any rate, we have a lot of stuff coming up. We do want to remind you next week, it's a hands-on out in the shop webcast. Myself, Pete Meyer, Pierre here, and maybe Eric will come bring us, we're looking for a 1996 or a little older, could be a 95 or so, General Motors vehicle where I can take the computer out and put in the factory tester so we can prove a point that you can do it with this special tool. That if you remember the old GMs, they burnt computers out like there was no tomorrow, right? They went like fuses would blow. Well, they built a special tester from SPX or OTC, built that tool. I happen to have one, and when I first used it years back, I said, this is a great thing. They're checking all of the outputs right where the computer's connected to see if there's anything low resistance that equals high amperage. My article in this August month of Motor Age will give you some insight to that. So we're doing a live webcast on that, myself, Pete Meyer, and again, Pierre and probably Eric. The other thing I'd like to bring up, we have here not far from us, Long Island, New York, we have our buddy Jim Morton, who is one of our guest speakers at the TST Roundtable, going out and doing a class with the Long Island Automotive Training Group. You can check in with these guys. Dave, his email is liautotraining@gmail.com. I'll say that again. The email is liautotraining@gmail.com. This is on Saturday, September 15th, the whole day with Jim Morton. Good class. I'll be out there in Long Island as well. Hopefully we can get some techs out there. Remember, any training is good training, but my buddy here, Jim, does a very nice job. And we have other classes coming up. September 29th, our big TST event out in Ontario, California, will feature myself doing P0420, how to keep the light off, and Dave Hobbs from Delphi. He'll be doing a CAN network class, and our keynote speaker will be Pete Meyer from Motor Age magazine. So if you're out in the California area, tons of you people out there, sign up. You can call us here at TST, or you can email us at info@tstseminars.org. You know how to get on our website. You can see it. And also the week in September of the 10th, the 11th, the 12th, and 13th is our TST week, starting up in Massachusetts on the 10th, the 11th in Southbury, Connecticut, the 12th in Totowa, New Jersey, here in Mayapack, New York, and on the internet. That will be a full 3.5-hour seminar that is not for free. But
that'll be Thursday on the
That'll be
webcast.
Thursday, and we get people from all over the world come on, so hopefully we'll see you come on. Any last comments?
Well, we have the number for the Remy Tech line.
Oh, that's very nice.
Remy Tech line.
Remy
Write
Tech
it down.
line.
And it is?
It's 800-372-5131.
Thank you.
Very good.
So
Thank
that's
you very much.
800-372-5131 for the Remy Tech line.
That's correct. And Jim thanks everyone for spending time on the roundtable tonight.
That's very nice of you, Jim.
Yeah, thank
Our
you.
pleasure.
Thank you. Very
And
good.
JJ from Ontario says hello.
Oh, thank you, JJ from Ontario.
And that's it.
All right, well, anything else, gents?
One
Oh,
quick thing, back when you mentioned scan tools, I had heard, I don't know if you had heard this, that some employees of Nextech Carmen have resurrected the company and updates, or an
Oh, no, I have
update is available. I heard this through
What are you told?
IATN, and I'm gonna look into that more, you might want to, because
What a great tool.
that was only the downfall of it, was the
Updates.
well, the downfall of the company. And I don't know
Well,
how much truth to this is,
The
but
downfall of the company was
the owner, but
the owner, they lost the Hyundai Kia contract with some stuff, and I don't want to spread rumors, but unfortunately, we love the tool.
yeah.
We have it, and I gotta tell you, you put it right on, it goes in, it does great things on Asian and European cars. So if there's an update, please keep us posted.
Right,
I would love to, maybe I'll see them out in Apex this year.
yeah. So that's what I had heard, that some former employees that are
Working together.
working together to resurrect and update.
Oh, that's good, that's exciting.
That's cool.
I have 2 of their tools, 3 of their tools. One last comment?
No.
No?
No?
Okay,
Okay.
well, from New York, thank you very much. Good night from TST headquarters. Thanks for watching.
Good night.
See you next month.